This is Pop Culture Yearbook. On this show, we pick pieces of pop culture that were important to us in a given year. We then discuss our memories and dig into those movies, albums, shows, and more. I'm Brad.
And I'm Giff.
Hopefully no more snafus. I hit the wrong button and we just start recording all over again there.
Oh, my God. It was awful.
It was terrible. It was
2 minutes in, maybe?
No, it was 30 seconds. But
30 seconds. It felt like 2 minutes.
But here we go. So our memories tonight, we're going back to 1984. But before we do, we want to talk about a few things. So Giff's got one and I got a couple. Go ahead, Giff.
Yes, we are shouting out our good pal Jim over at Children of the 80s. He is one of our classmates now on our Patreon page. So thank you, Jim, for coming on and supporting us. We certainly appreciate it. And, of course, because you are supporting us, you were sent a nice little care package. And if you deem it worthy, you should maybe post a little something on our socials with you using your new prize in any way you see fit. You know,
or anybody else that got that care package.
Yeah, we got a few that were sent out, and
we'd love to know you got it.
Yes, well, that's the other thing too. Is I did mail them plenty of postage, but you never know with the postal service whether or not things get from point A to point B. So,
goddamn mail.
Yeah, geez, Louise. So, thank you, Jim, for jumping on our Patreon. And again, for those of you out there listening, we do have a Patreon account, and we have some content on there that we're going to keep loading stuff on, and a fun little game that we're doing or trying to do.
One of these days, Gifford needs to come up with a game that we're going to post on there. So I'm waiting to see what he does.
I've got an idea for one.
Okay.
So, and again, it's one of those things where, you know, we're trying to have one person prepares something and the other person is trying to guess what that will be. And I'm trying to figure out something that is not so right in your face. Everybody knows exactly what it is, but certainly something that's in the lexicon that is common to everybody's knowledge with pop culture. So I think I got a good one. I just need to get it written up, and
can't wait.
And we'll get that recorded. So yeah.
Well, thank you, Jim. We are going through our shout outs one at a time throughout the time here. Hopefully by the time we get through them, maybe we'll have more people added to the list. That's our hope.
And where do you find that Patreon, Brad?
If you go to any of our socials and click on our link tree, there's a link to the Patreon there.
There you go.
If you just go to the Patreon website or app, you can obviously search for any show or thing you want there, and you can find us under Pop Yearbook.
Pop Yearbook, absolutely.
I have a couple of other shout outs that I would like to make first here. So we got some decent feedback over our last couple episodes. So 2 episodes ago, we talked about Cage the Elephant, which is a fabulous band that maybe was new to some people. And so one of the comments we got, I just want to share because, you know, we love Jason Colvin of Surely You Can't Be Serious. And I don't know how serious he is and if he's really listening to him, but he claims that he really enjoyed it and then he's into this band now. And so it made me feel good to hear that he's maybe checking out a song or two out there because, you know, you never know. So thank you for that. And then my brother-in-law, Craig, occasional listener, he was interested in our draft on Stars Who Battle Demons there, and he brought up a couple really good ones, and one that I just cannot believe we left. We totally whiffed on one.
Uh-oh.
So I brought up Lane Staley and drafted him, but Chris Cornell was another good one that he brought up. Similar.
Yeah.
But the big one that we missed, Taylor Hawkins from the Foo Fighters.
Oh, my God.
We have 2 full episodes on the Foo Fighters from our second season that we put out right after he died.
Yes.
Talking about the album from the year that we were doing and all kinds of other great stuff. They're really, really good episodes on the Foo Fighters. Like that really hit me and hit Pete, and I can't believe that he didn't come up. So I really appreciated Craig bringing that one up and reminding me of that too. But he liked that draft and was interested that I brought up a guy from the Kinks. Yeah. So, great Amy's. And then last week we had our Brooklyn Nine-Nine and our GOAT sitcom characters draft. And first, I just want to, again, Rappy, who we talk about quite often. We'll talk about him more next episode. but he has been using the title of my sex tape joke quite well. And I appreciate that he listened and took that to heart and is trying to incorporate that into some of his comments and other places. That's always fun. And then I got a little list of great sitcom characters from Dave from Totally 80s 90s Recall. And so a lot of, similar ones, but he had a couple good ones we hadn't put in there either. So I just want to read off his list because he gave me a full list here. So Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm, kind of, playing himself, but great character. Fresh Prince.
Yep.
You got a really good one I should have thought of probably is Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell. Although maybe because he's such a terrible person, I would pick a different character, but he's iconic.
Yep.
One that I definitely wish I would have thought of, B. Arthur. We didn't talk about the Golden Girls at all. Dorothy should have been on there, should have been mentioned. He brought up Ted Lasso, which I can't believe I didn't bring up anybody from that show. So
I can't believe I didn't think of Ted Lasso.
Roy Kent at the top of the list, but you could have named 5 people, including Ted Lasso, easy from there. Ray Romano, Everybody Loves Raymond. And then one that neither of us are really all that big of a fan of, I don't think. I'm not anyway, but I don't think he is either. But he was a big character in the 90s and Tim Allen's character from Home Improvement. So,
yeah, I saw that and I was like, I mean, I watched Home Improvement and I watched Tim Allen stand-up.
You would have liked him more than me, for sure.
Yep. And that was one of those shows that I definitely watched growing up. So that was a good inclusion for sure.
So, we love getting some feedback and especially getting that kind of feedback where you share your own thoughts. That's what we're always shooting for. So thank you for doing that. And we love to talk about it and bring it up on the air too.
That is correct. Yes. Love to talk about it and bring it up on the air. Title of your sex tape, I think. But
that one seems to be a thinker. Does that work?
A little bit. Well, I was thinking when you were talking about rap, you said that's always fun. And I was like, oh, title of your sex tape.
Mm-hmm.
That's always fun.
Title of our sex tape.
Whoa.
All right. Well, what are we going to talk about tonight, Gifford?
Tonight, we are getting into some sci-fi thriller horror action. Again, we're back in 1984. We're talking about the Terminator tonight. Came out October 26th of 84.
I'll be back.
Yes. And that is where that originated. So this little movie had only a budget of $6.4 million.
That seems kind of crazy.
Very crazy. And but it raked in $78 million at the box office. So this was just an absolutely massive movie. I mean, really launched careers of both James Cameron, the director, because this was his second full-length movie that he directed after Piranha 2, which was rated a 3.8 on Metacritic. 2 years later, he does this movie. Or I'm sorry, Alien. Aliens was in 1986, which had an 8.4. So he went from Piranha 2 to Terminator to Aliens, and it's all history after that. So, I mean, he really took off based on this.
So when did you see this movie and get into it? Because you have far more of a history of it than I do.
So I was pretty young the first time I saw this movie. The first time was probably, I would guess like 86 or so, somewhere around there on video. Of course,
is young.
Yeah. I mean, and I remember, just how cool it was. Like, I just loved the whole idea of the cyborg. And, of course, there was 80s boobs, very short, time in there, but it was an indelible mark on.
So short that the first time I watched it, I didn't even remember it. I had to check it out again this time to see, oh yeah, there it is.
So I don't know if it was, we somehow rented this, but definitely didn't go to it in the theater for sure. But I was pretty young when I saw it, and it was just.
It wasn't on a tape from your uncle?
No, I don't believe Terminator was on the HBO tapes from Uncle Jerry. If it was, I would have watched it a lot more. But no, this one wasn't on there. So when I saw that this was a $6.4 million budget, to little gift, this was like big budget extravaganza, unbelievable effects. Like I didn't think.
Yeah, there is a lot of stuff in there.
Right, but I mean, you think, you know, such a low budget, and yeah, it never occurred to me, and of course, the stars that you have in this, you don't think that you could have got that budget for these stars, but really, I mean, this was the eighth movie for Arnold, really the
Well, yeah,
fourth
what
as a
stars are
title
you talk
character.
other than Arnold, and then he's pretty new at this time still.
Yep,
This is the movie that really got him big, so
exactly. This is the one that really set him off. I mean, Conan the Barbarian was okay, a pretty big cult classic, but this was the one that put him in mainstream for sure. And then like you got Michael Behan, who was in Aliens as well. Um,
Behan?
but
Isn't it just Bean?
Bean, I always went Behan.
I
I
don't
don't know.
see an A in there, so
All right. Well, you're the English teacher. But I've always enjoyed that guy. We know him from Aliens and Tombstone. I always thought he reminded me of my Uncle Kent, so I always thought he was, a pretty cool actor because my Uncle Kent's pretty cool too. Um, but yeah, this was kind of the jumping off point for quite a few people, including the effects guy Stan Winston, who went on to win 4 Oscars throughout his career. But this was early on in his career as well, putting together the special effects and makeup for this one. So, how about you? What was the first time you saw
yeah.
this one?
So famously, we've talked a lot about our holes on this
Yeah.
show and things that we had never seen and things that we missed or just didn't get to. And I'd never seen the Terminator or Terminator 2
Hmm.
until this summer. So it just seemed like another 80s action movie. And I really, until Die Hard, I didn't watch any and I didn't know hardly any of those. Like, I don't know much about Predator or Conan or whatever else or Rambo or any of that stuff. They weren't for me. I was watching comedies. But I heard about T2 a ton because we were 15 and that was just a giant movie. And so I knew it was supposed to be great, but I still thought, this one wasn't supposed to be that great. Like, I'm like, okay, well, they really upped the game with T2, even though I didn't watch it, but that's what I heard. But I thought they were kind of writing a sequel to a movie that wasn't really that good. But I just kept hearing about it and I kept avoiding it. And then when we started this show, it kept popping up over and over, and you guys talked about it all the time. And I'm like, okay, I have to watch it. So the first time I watched it was on a plane this summer on my way to Alaska. I had it all queued up and ready to go. And then when I got home, I watched T2 and I loved it. I loved the intensity of this movie. I loved the
Hmm.
themes and the AI. And I mean, stuff that's so relevant that, you would have never probably thought when you're making it how it would really fit to what we're seeing right now, but it does. And so I'm very glad I filled this hole. And so when you just said possibly watching it for the show again here, even though I just watched it a couple months ago, I was like, I want to watch it again. Like, let's do this movie because I want to watch it again. And I don't know if I ever will because there's so many things to watch.
Right.
But if I have to do it for the show, I'm going to watch it. And that means if I watch this, I'm going to watch T2 again too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I was very late to the party, but we all have those things. We all have stories.
We all have major pop culture holes. That is for sure. Because
Major pop
um,
culture holes.
major pop culture. Yes, because even putting together our draft for tonight, like Arnold's a massive action star for the 80s
Yeah, this
and,
wasn't easy
into the
for me tonight.
90s. And I started going through it and going, you start your list, you're like, oh, I'm putting that on there, I'm putting that on there, this on there. And then you get a few more movies down the line. You're like, oh, I didn't see that. I saw that. So it's kind of interesting putting the list together. How quickly I kind of ran out of ones that I truly love, but I've seen some of his movies so many times that they're awesome. I think they're great. Um, so you're a fan. I'm glad to hear you're a fan.
Yeah.
It always kills me with you having that satellite dish growing up.
Yeah. Well, I watch comedies. I was watching
Yeah,
16 Candles every day or Vacation
right. Yeah.
or Three
I
Amigos. Those three movies.
That was it. Just on a constant loop.
Yeah, pretty much. And any other comedy for that matter. But
Well, and like for me, because again, famously, just 2 channels. Like when I got whatever those, was on those tapes from Uncle Jerry, like I would just watch everything that was on there, whether it was a drama or a comedy or a horror or whatever, just because I was so starved for
mhm.
something to watch. So kind of got into a few other things. So yeah,
So you mentioned the budget and some things. I'm sure we both have some fun facts here. I want to
yeah,
go with my favorite fun fact right off the bat. I hope I can go
please do.
first here.
I think I might know what it is.
So it's just, and I'm sure a lot other people, some at least, probably know this, but so Stallone and Mel Gibson were kind of the two main people who were up for this movie and turned it down. So you know where I'm going.
Yes, I know where you're going.
The other person that was discussed for this movie was O.J. Simpson. But the reason he didn't get it is because he wasn't believable as a killer. And I love how if you read Wikipedia, it says at that time.
At that time, yeah,
So O.J. Simpson could have been the Terminator, but in 1984, nobody believed he could be a killer. Oh, and then 10 years later, oh, it changed my world. It was just,
yes,
I couldn't believe
yep.
it when I read that.
That is, I mean, it's kind of sad that that's a fun fact,
Well, yeah,
considering
but
that there's two young people, in their prime, struck down allegedly by
well, they
this
were,
gentleman.
yeah, well, allegedly by him, right? But
Yeah. Um. So yeah, that's a big one for sure. I
and
have
I
that one
just,
written down.
because I loved OJ and the Naked Gun, and he was on TV a
Hmm.
lot, so you can see how he maybe got brought up for more movies.
Yep.
But I'm trying to picture him more because I know him from the Naked Gun, of course, but playing this role
Yep.
seriously, and it's like it just makes me chuckle to
Right.
imagine it.
Well, and who
Nordberg,
knows? Who knows where you go if he does get this role, right? Because could
that's
he
true.
do could he do the Terminator and then Nordberg?
Yeah,
That's
probably
quite a
not
range.
Naked Gun is my guess then.
Quite a range for the man, that's for sure.
Maybe if he
Um,
had gotten this movie, he wouldn't have killed those people.
maybe. Yeah,
I
he would
mean,
have got out of his system doing it, for
yeah, it
fake,
changes. It's the butterfly effect. It changes so much, and
right?
so yeah, it's really a shame. He should have been the Terminator.
Yep. So, they were looking at Arnold for the Reese character originally, but um, they wanted so Cameron met with there was a lunch set up with Arnold and they met, and Cameron didn't think that he was really right for the role of Reese, and he was just going to pick a fight with him and say, okay, well, I can't work with the guy, so give him an excuse to kick him off the project. But Arnold sat there and talked to him about how the character should be played. And Cameron was so taken by this that he was the one who convinced Arnold, you need to do this character. You've got such a good grip on how it should be played. You're an imposing
Yeah, it seems like a
figure,
no-brainer.
which would be awesome. And of course, Arnold, he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to be a bad guy in films. And his agent even told him that he shouldn't do it. And then when Arnold decided, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this, he ended up firing that agent and doing this role. And he wasn't even convinced while he was doing it. This production was delayed 9 months because he was doing Conan the Destroyer. And they halted production because they're like, we want this guy for our Terminator. So during that time, Cameron was able to work on the scripts for Aliens and Rambo 2. So, I mean, used his time pretty well there. And they get Arnold back into play here. And Arnold spent extensive time working on uh, guns and how to load them and assemble them, and could do them from memory to the point where he didn't need to look at the gun to reload it, which is kind of like a machine would do, right? It's so
Mhm.
intimate, has such perfect knowledge of how everything works. So he actually gained praise from one gun publication who usually cuts on all these actors for the way they operate guns in
Ah,
movies, and they were like, this guy really did his homework. He really knew what he was doing
well, and I think
for
it's
this movie.
funny you mentioned, I mean, he had to be kinda convinced, and he really didn't think a lot of this movie.
Hmm.
In an interview, somebody asked him what he was doing, and he said, "Well, I'm working on some shit movie."
Yep.
Referring to the Terminator, which went on to be one of the biggest things he ever did. So, it's just funny to read those quotes as well.
Well, and then he comes back later and says, "Yeah, this was the defining role for me," and
Well
obviously it is. I mean,
yeah,
we've
it's the
we've done how
Terminator.
many Terminator movies after this, and he keeps showing up in them and doing a really good job. So
And
this movie in 2008 was inducted into the Library of Congress, which I found, you know Absolutely, it should be. I think of movies, like action movies, and there's certain movies that kind of move the dial for me. Like this was a step up in, technological advancement. So I mean, you got Star Wars, then you move on for me to Terminator, and then you go to Terminator 2. That was just unbelievable with, the T-1000. And then from there I would go to like The Matrix and how they did the stop motion cameras all the way around,
Hey, we got
and
stop motion in here too.
we do have stop motion in here too. And it's not stop motion with the Matrix, but the way they put the cameras all the way around the
Yeah,
actors so you get that view. Um
360.
right, and then you probably go to like Avatar, So this was one of those movies for me, and maybe it's because I was so young when I saw it and I was just blown away by the effects at the time. And sure, you watch it now and they're not always as clean as they should be, but I would still say for 1984, this was a
Yeah, no,
great
I think
achievement.
the only thing that really doesn't hold up that well is the stop motion part. I mean,
Mhm.
that's pretty rough at that part there. But
Yep.
it's so intense that like maybe you don't even really care.
Right.
Um, Another reason why Arnold seemed like such a no-brainer, of course, he's not the greatest English speaker.
Mhm.
Well, in this movie, he only has 17 lines and less than 100 total words of dialogue. So it
Yep.
is more about just being imposing and handling the guns. And he doesn't have to say much, which is
Right.
maybe why "I'll be back" is such a famous line because he didn't have many other lines.
Well, and he didn't talk a whole lot in Conan the Barbarian either.
Oh, I haven't seen
So
that, of course.
it's
So
like, maybe he was trying to get away from that and actually get into like, hey, I want to be a leading man. A leading man obviously has plenty to say during the movie, but I mean, he's such an imposing figure in this and plays it so well. And like the famous line, "I'll be back." He had trouble with the "I'll" part of that. But like Cameron said, his accent seemed to just work because maybe it was his speech isn't as pure because the machines hadn't figured that part out yet
ah,
quite as perfectly. So really it works that one, he doesn't talk a lot, and two, when he does, it's not, perfect English. Because these guys are supposed to be
unless he is
infiltrators.
imitating another person, which he can do no problem.
Right, exactly. That's yeah, kind of strange. You'd think he'd be able to get a different voice, but it's funny because these T-800s are infiltrators, and they're supposed to mix in with other humans. Yet you have this hulking, massive man, which of course he kind of needs to be because the chassis of the robot is so big and heavy. So you need he's gonna be bigger just because.
And the famous line, "I'll be back," which was one of the most famous lines in the history of cinema.
Hmm.
And actually, now that I watched the movie, and get it, it was supposed to be "I'll come back,"
Yep.
which really makes sense because he's asking for help at the station and they tell him he can't go in yet. And it would make sense to say "I'll come back." But he let it out as "I'll be back," and history is born right there.
Yep.
And it sounds better. I mean, "I'll come back" maybe makes sense, but it doesn't sound as cool.
It certainly doesn't, and not it's certainly not as much more cool when he says it.
We're probably not going to be repeating it still in that way.
Hmm.
"I'll come back." No, it doesn't quite work.
So the idea for this movie came to Cameron when he was very sick and had a fever dream, and in that he had like a disembodied robot like coming at him through a kitchen with kitchen knives on the floor, like dragging itself across the floor. Um, so I'm sorry, this was the agent who was fired. Took it to his agent. His agent advised against a horror film, and that was the agent who got fired. Um, in his original script, he had two Terminators in it. One, the T-800 that we see in this movie, and a second one that was made of liquid metal. And he decided that they couldn't practically make that effect in 1984, so he shelved that idea, and
But
that, of
that's in
course, is what
T2 then, right?
that's what we see in T2. So he really kind of wrote parts of both at the same time, and lucky for us, he was able to shelve that and bring it back. Because if this movie didn't take off, who knows if we get T2, right? Who knows if we get Cameron in his in all his greatness with all of the projects that he's put together. So, because this was again low budget, Orion was the distributor for it. They weren't real crazy about putting much money into it. They were doing more serious films, and they're like, okay, well, whatever. This is just a B grade, horror action flick, whatever. And they didn't put money behind it for promotion, which Arnold is still not happy about. Cameron wasn't happy about, and really they didn't start putting more money into it until the box office started blowing up and word of mouth, got
But
out.
it is so much more than just that horror. And I mean, the themes in
Mhm.
here, you got time travel, of course, which
Yep.
is cool. You got the AI, which talk, machines are going to kill us now, right? I mean,
Right.
the development of the characters is great. Not a lot of dialogue, but like you have so much changing throughout it. And then you have the whole idea of like masculinity and like you need to be a machine. But then you have this woman who like is the main star of the movie who slowly becomes the heroine and then becomes huge in the second one. And how many of these 80s action movies had such an important female character? It's just another thing that was like kind of ahead of its time. And so
Well,
there's so much cool stuff in this movie. And it's just put together so seamlessly. It makes it so
right.
good.
Well, and it has a lot of the same tropes as your standard slasher flick, right? You have the unstoppable monster
Yeah.
that keeps coming after the final girl.
If you want to
You know,
simplify it, but then you
yep,
go deeper and that's what makes it stand out.
exactly. So I mean, it combines different genres so well, and that's what I think is so
Because I
indelible
would
about it.
never have thought of this even before I saw it, but even now I don't ever think of it as a horror movie, but I get it. It does
Mhm.
have that, but to me, it's an action movie, but again, it's more than
Yep.
that too.
Yeah. Like you say, it's action, it's sci-fi, it's horror movie if you want to look at it that way too. There's just a lot going on, and again with the time travel, I just love how they make it a loop, right? Like you can't have who's the son's name?
John.
John Connor without Kyle coming back to impregnate the mother. I mean, it's all a loop, and you
So
don't
yeah,
have
we'll get
Skynet coming together if the Terminator doesn't come back, and they have that technology from him in order to, make everything work for the second movie. So I love the time travel in this. I think it's just so cool how they just loop it. Um, so yeah, I think it's just cool. I think it's a great movie.
I have a couple character things, but we can talk about casting things, but we can do those with the character list here in a minute. The only other
Yep.
besides that kind of a fun fact that I have is that club Tech Noir,
Yep.
that was a real club in LA and was like fully functioning, and that's what it's called and everything. So they
Oh,
just used
I
a real
saw a
club.
thing that he made that club,
That's not what I
and he
read. I
and
read it
he
was a real club.
he named it as Tech Noir because that is what this movie is. It's about tech and this darker side of what happens with
Oh
tech.
boy.
That's what
Well,
I
I'm
had read.
probably wrong, but I read it on the internet.
Sure. Well, I did too. It's not like I'm
And I thought that
writing
was
stuff.
kind of cool, but very
I
80s club for sure.
Yep. I got a couple more things. Linda Hamilton was Cameron's fourth wife. They were married from 97 to 99. And the last thing I have here is that the Terminator is the only character on AFI's 100 Heroes and Villains as both a hero and a villain.
Because in the second one he's a hero.
Yep. Well, the
Right.
second one, the third, all the ones
Well,
after the first one, he's
I'm
really.
just taking these
Yep.
first two and I don't care
Yep.
about the others. So
Well, and that's why it would be on there is because of the first and the second. The ones after it, I mean, third and Genesis and Salvation. I mean, you can watch them and they expand the world, a little bit, but they're not, in my opinion, great, fun films. There's some cool stuff in there, but these are the two you really need to concentrate on, the first and the second. So,
mhm.
certainly enjoy them both very much.
So sometimes we have these really deep casts. Not
Yeah,
tonight as much,
not
but shall we?
tonight.
You've already hit on a couple people.
Yeah,
We talked
let's
about
hear it.
Arnold and we talked about other options for him. It could have been OJ.
Mhm.
That would have been just fabulous, but he was perfect. I mean, how do you make this movie without Arnold? It's like
Right.
It's crazy to think that it wasn't written with him in mind because it just seems like it
It
would
would
be.
be. Right. Yep.
Linda Hamilton, as I mentioned, great character evolution. So we meet her at the beginning, and she's this waitress, and she's dropping things, and she's clumsy and meek. But at the end, she's this strong, powerful mother, and she's just ready to take on anything and to save him. And so it's
Yep.
pretty cool to see her go through there. And I don't know much about Linda Hamilton outside of these movies. And then she hosted SNL in '91 when the Terminator 2 came out.
Hmm.
Um, for somebody that was into such huge movies, um, I'm not very familiar with her. I don't even know what else she's in. I'm sure you probably have something I've seen her in, but
Well, I mean, if you look on IMDb, the things she's known for is Terminator 2, Terminator Dark Fate, and the Terminator.
oh,
And then
okay.
Dante's Peak,
Oh,
which is a whole for
that does
me as
sound
well.
familiar. I haven't ever seen that, but I feel like it's familiar that I knew she was in that, like just from the box and stuff.
Yeah, she's on the cover there with Pierce.
So this really is her thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big time.
Well, she's good at it.
Well, and she was just in something recently too. What did I see? Hold on a second.
Yeah, you're right. I feel like I just saw her in something
Stranger
not that.
Things.
Yes, yeah. See, that was a great.
Yep.
See, they really are good about picking the right people to put in that show. That was a good
Yep.
one.
Yeah, and she was great in it for sure. Yep.
All right, Michael Biehn or Behan, Kyle Reese, another one you mentioned. He's an Aliens. I mean, he's not in much that I'm familiar with. So I
You've
pretty
seen
much
Tombstone, right?
yeah, but I don't remember who he is. But I'd love Tombstone.
He's Johnny. Oh my God! Hold on. He's just absolutely great in that. Oh, he was in The Abyss too. I forgot. And he was in The Rock.
yeah, he did a
That's
lot of James
right.
Cameron movies. Oh, I think The Rock is the one maybe where I kind of do know him more from.
Yep. Yeah, Johnny Ringo. That's what it is. Johnny
That's what I was
Ringo.
going to say, but then I was afraid it was wrong because it seemed too obvious.
Yeah.
You got Rick Rossovich, who
Yes.
famously is from Top Gun in the
Slider.
shirtless volleyball scene. He doesn't have a big
Mhm.
part. He gets killed, but he is the boyfriend in here, and
Yep.
he's all into the sex and dirty talking.
Matt has got some real dirty talk. He's definitely a perv for sure.
Yeah.
Which I can get behind.
Paul Winfield is Lieutenant Traxler.
Mhm.
I don't know much about him either, but he has there's not many people that have big parts. Like they come in
No.
for, but he's one of the biggest parts, the lieutenant, but he doesn't last either.
Yep.
You got Earl Bone or Bane. Now, this is a guy that I do recognize quite a bit. His Dr. Silberman.
Yep.
He's basically on every TV show in the 80s and 90s. Like you see his face, and maybe you can't remember what you saw him in, but you know him right away. So he's kind of the main guy to me that stood out of all of them. Is this Earl Bowen?
Bowen. Yeah.
Boen.
And along with Atherton from Ghostbusters and Die Hard, in this movie and Terminator 2, very punchable.
Oh yeah,
Very,
punchable.
very,
Yeah, he's
very
such
punchable.
he doesn't take any, and I mean, what he's supposed to take seriously is pretty ridiculous. Like you can see why he doesn't believe it, but but we of course know the truth, so he's a jerk. I totally forgot to mention my other two little casting things. So back to Kyle Reese, which is Michael Biehn, could have been Sting. They looked at Sting for that part.
Yep,
and Sting has been in some movies. And then my favorite one, though, for instead of Linda Hamilton, Gifford, we could have had Cindy Morgan, Lacey Underall.
Oh, I didn't see Cindy Morgan. I saw, oh, for God's sakes. Can't think
Biggest
of who it
whore
is
on
now.
Fifth Avenue, I'm told.
I'm told. I'd like to tie her up with some of my ties is what I'd like to do.
And then the only other one, blink and you miss it or you don't know, but Bill Paxton is one of the early punks at the very beginning of the movie. And I didn't realize it was him, and then I saw he was in it, so I backed it up, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's him for sure.
And he of course has the distinction of being killed by a Terminator, by an alien, and by a predator.
There you go.
I love Bill Paxton. But yeah, he was in this right
Jack
away.
of all trades.
And then one of the other guys in it was like the bad guy from the Stallone Cobra movie. He was the guy who basically got a fist right through his chest. So yeah. Well, you got some more there, I'm assuming.
No, I'm done. Do you have any more you want to mention?
Oh, well, Lance Hendrickson's a big one.
Who was he?
We know him. He was the other police officer, the other
Oh,
detective.
okay.
He was,
What do I
in
know
the.
him from?
Well, you might not know him as much, but he's in the Aliens franchise.
Oh, see, I'm not very familiar. So
So yeah, know him from that. Bess Mata plays the roommate Ginger. She was looking all right by my standards.
yeah, I didn't
That's
know
for
who she
sure.
was, but
No, I don't know her either. But yeah, Bill Paxton's a big one. Brian Thompson, that's the guy from the Cobra movie. The other one, the very first person you see in this movie is Chino Fats Williams, who you may have recognized as the derelict from Roadhouse and Rocky 3. And he was also a bar patron in Weird Science. Weird Science is probably the one you'd recognize him when the boys go out to a bar and they're hanging out. Like there's blues going on in the background. So recognize that guy right away from his time here as a garbage man. So like that guy. Haven't seen him in a lot of stuff, but he always seems to stand out when I see him. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the cast in this. Because again, you're essentially have three characters, and that's what this whole thing revolves around.
right.
So
Yeah, and that lieutenant, he's pretty important when he's in there, but it's not a long extended part.
right, yep, yep. So
Shall we talk
um,
about some favorite scenes or things?
sure, yeah, absolutely. What do you got first?
Well, I really like so early in the movie, Arnold, the Terminator, goes to the gun store
Mm,
and he's asking about the guns, and the guy is all excited to show him all the different kinds. He's like, "You really know your guns." And of course he shoots him, and then he's just going out to find all the Sarah Connors. And I liked that scene. It's very much, it shows how ruthless he is and what he's capable of, because that guy didn't deserve to die. There was nothing going on there,
no,
but he took the guns and left.
well, and just how mechanical he is. Like there's no emotion. It's just I want this, I want this, I want this. Uh, Shells. Obviously, you wouldn't
The
be able to get to the
Uzi.
shells, from the counter there. That was kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, he just loads the gun, shoots the guy. This guy's in the way of his objective, and he's just going to get it done. Um, One of the first ones I wrote down. I love the scene when he comes back to his room and does his repairs. The Terminator. I just think that is so cool because you get to see some of the inner workings now, right?
Yeah.
Like you
Oh,
get
like
to
his
see his
eye.
his eye. He
Yeah.
opens up his forearm, and you can see the inner workings of his of how his hand moves and everything like that. And of course, this is where we've got the big latex mask, um, which
Yeah,
again
that's
for
the other thing that probably
'84,
doesn't hold up very well, because you can always tell when it's the mask compared to the guy, and it's not very good. But it's 84, so
they spent 6 months on that bad boy. I thought
wow.
it was pretty good. And the other thing that I think you get you get away with a little bit is because like when it's the mask and it's on a animatronic dummy, well, he's a robot. Like so the jerky motions that he's making as he's taking that towel and wiping out the eye
Yeah,
kind of works
that makes
because
sense.
it's still a robot. Um And I liked how, like, during that chase scene, with the cars, like he's a little more sweaty, and so when they do the repair scenes, it just kind of works. Like he's already kind of pale and sweaty, um, and so I think it works well with how they did that mask. So that to me was just a cool scene because you get to see the inner workings a little bit and how this thing actually works. So
The next scene, maybe my favorite scene in the movie, is the tech noir scene where
okay.
Sarah's supposed to be on a date and she gets stood up and she realizes what happened. So she goes to use the phone and she calls her home to talk to the roommate. And that's where we find out that Arnold can like change his voice.
Hmm.
And so she tells her where she is because she thinks she's talking to her roommate. So he knows exactly where he is and shows up. And then, of course, Kyle Reese shows up, and it's just so intense. It's like he sees her, and you're like, he's gonna kill her, and he's not because it's a movie. But like, it's so intense. And then they keep shooting him, which slows him down. But of course, it doesn't kill him or do anything because he can. He's a robot. And I just thought that scene was so well done. And at that point, when you start to realize that there's three Sarah Connors, And so luckily she's the third one in the phone book because it killed the other two. So now she's the only one left. So like he knows for sure who he's going after.
Right.
And then after the scene's over, they're on the run, Kyle and Sarah, and that really sets up like the rest of this. And so I thought, and all these people in the club and the music playing, it just really was intense, and that was probably my favorite scene, maybe in the movie.
I am a big fan of the police station massacre.
Oh yeah, that's good too.
It starts
after he says I'll be back and drives his car in.
It starts with the I'll be back. It's just a boatload of killing. I read this thing that the officer Traxler told Sarah, well, you're safe here. There's 30 cops in the building. If you watch that scene, and I should have been counting while I was watching it, he aims and shoots at 30 different targets. You don't always see the target because he's shooting through a door or whatever, but he basically went through that whole freaking place and killed every single police officer that was in there.
But somehow missed Kyle and Sarah.
Well, yeah, that's always the fun part, right? Is that
they had really good hiding places.
Is that when you can shoot perfectly every time except for when you're trying to hit your heroine. So, but still, just an awesome scene of firepower and him just coming in and kicking some ass.
Yeah, and the other thing in that scene that you have kind of before he gets there is you have the questioning of Kyle with that Dr. Silberman, where it just kind of drives you nuts because even though, of course, it sounds crazy, we know, that he's telling the truth, but the guy is just such a clown to him and just so not even taking him seriously at all, and so that is good too.
Well, after and like you said, how would you take him seriously?
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
After that scene, he takes his eye out again, and that's when he starts to wear the sunglasses, which is, a huge part of the Terminator look. But this is where you get that music. It's just, I love these movies where there's just that constant kind of pounding background music. We just watched One Battle After Another not long ago, and that's another one that's got it. But it's just like the boom, 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 boom. And it's just, even when he's doing something simple like fixing his eye and putting on sunglasses, it's just still so ominous about what's coming next. And it's on the edge of your seat that whole time.
Well, and like that's, like the theme music for the Terminator, if you watch the Terminator movies, that is in all of them, that do-do, do-do, like it's just
yeah, that's there, it. You nailed, you got the right beat on it there.
It's so awesome, yeah. So I'm with you on the music. For sure. Did you have another scene you wanted to talk about?
Well, the next scene that I wrote down that I don't care for, the sex scene is just so out of place. It's just, now I get, okay, so she got pregnant, right? She got pregnant, so that's why it's in there.
Yep.
But I don't know. It really just seems so forced, and it feels like they could have just kind of skipped through it and showed, okay, yeah, they did it. That's how she got pregnant, but not make it a whole thing, even though, of course, we'd love to see things that are in them, but I don't know. That would be a scene that it just feels awkward and not right in this movie.
Well, and
but at least it's not in there just for nothing. It is in there because it does set up, a very important thing, of course.
Correct. Yep. So you have to have it in there. And that was one of the additions that was suggested to Cameron for the script, was that you need to have a relationship formed there to give it a little more gravitas. And then, of course, the product of that is, in fact, John Connor. So, sorry, spoiler alert, folks. And I do love the part where they're in that overpass and she's asking him about her son. And I love how he goes, oh, he's about my height. And, of course, you don't think anything of it when he says it. And then he says, of course, he has your eyes, but that was kind of cool. And to your point about how they could have maybe made it a little quicker and not such a drawn out thing.
Because it had the sappy music and everything playing, right? I mean, it's just, I don't know.
The reason it could have been a lot shorter is because he did confess that he's never known the touch of a woman. So that would have been an extremely short
the touch
rendezvous.
Of a woman.
Yes. So, I mean, it pretty much would have been, I hope I didn't ruin your roommate's robe situation,
and
honestly.
You'd think that with all the intensity in this thing out, there's not going to be a lot of time to sit and have a romantic. You're going to have to just get in and out.
Yeah.
And that's going to be
Literally.
it, because we're going to be on the run again because we don't know where this thing is.
Right.
So it could have been a much more less romantic sex scene, and it would have been more realistic, maybe.
Right. Well, and that was the one of the issues I have with this movie is that, okay, so her mother lives in Bear Path or whatever the heck it is. So he drives all the way to that cabin, which is really about a 3-hour drive out of LA. Gets all the way there and, figures out where she's at. And then it takes him forever to get back, like through the night. Like they have time for this interlude and making the pipe bombs and all that. Like this guy can get from point A to point B like that, but then all of a sudden.
Well, it's like that St. Louis to Chicago in Vacation or in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It just doesn't add up and make sense.
Well, that's the one thing I did read. One of the cut scenes was Michael McKean pulling over the Terminator. And telling him that, in fact, he made it all the way.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, he made it all the way to Arizona.
Oh,
and of course,
I'll be back.
The Terminator kills him and then turns around and heads back to the Tiki Motel.
I'll go back.
Yeah, so little known fact that Michael McKean was also in the Terminator.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Getting him going the right way. The other scene is the end. When he gets blown up. And
so
you
that
think,
semi-chase has a hell of an explosion at the end of that thing.
Yep. And first off, you'd think she would have been taken in by it as well. Like, I mean, that's a massive explosion. And she's not that far ahead of the semi. But you think, okay, awesome, we're done. Yep. This is over now. And then how he sits up and stands up and just keeps coming
and then this is where there's no skin anymore, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So he's, now you see the full chassis of the Terminator robot. And for me, like this part of the movie, and maybe it's because a little bit of the effects, like when you see the Terminator in full body and they have to do the stop motion, takes a little bit of the aura out. But at this point, it's not, for me, it wasn't as scary. Like I thought it was more scary when you had Arnold wrapped around this thing. And, it was definitely creepier and scarier. Now it's like, it's almost like, it's out in the open. It's not hiding anymore. If anybody happens, like if police happen to come on the scene, like they're going to be like, holy shit, we need to stop. So it's almost like if
where's Dr. Silberman?
Right. We might get some help. But I thought, okay, now it's not quite as scary, but the way that it just keeps coming after them. So he's lost all of his skin. Nope, I'm back. I'm coming after you. Then he gets blown up. And it's just the top half, and nope, doesn't matter. I'm still coming after you. Like that constant, unrelenting pursuit is just so cool. And I mean, it keeps that tension all the way to the end.
The old effects kind of work both ways, where it's kind of cheesy and doesn't work because you can tell. But I guess I wrote down here, I'm looking at my notes, I kind of thought it was almost a little more cool watching it move that way. It had an effect that probably wasn't intended, but like watching it now, having it be kind of this jerky, weird movement almost added a little bit to it for me. But it works both ways because it's also, obviously not great effects either.
Well, and the other thing, too, is they're all practical effects, right? There's no CGI in any of this. I mean, they built this robot thing and they're, obviously they've got puppeteers moving it when you don't have the full body shot of it. But it's really, I mean, I always thought it was really well done. I'd really get a
and
kick
speaking of full body and keeping coming at you, even when his entire lower half gets displaced and shot off him, the top half can still move and is still coming at him before he finally blows him up.
Yeah. It's just awesome. I think it's such a fun thing. One thing I always kind of enjoyed, and I got a kick out of it again this time, is when they're in the factory at the end and, Reese turns on all the machines so that he has a harder time tracking him or whatever. And the Terminator comes in and you see him look at all these primitive robots. Like he kind of looks around and they show like 3 different, robots that are, doing their thing in this plant. I always thought like it was kind of cool because you're seeing like the top of the line robot of the future right next to like these remedial robots of the, that are now assembly robot, so I always thought
Oh.
that was kind of a cool juxtaposition.
What about there's not a lot of lines in this movie, and obviously there's one of
Mhm.
the most famous lines ever, but did you have any lines you wrote down since we always like to pick out our favorite lines?
Yeah, and it's one that's used in Terminator 2 by Arnold, the T-800, and it's used here by Reese. I love the "Come with me if you wanna live."
Oh, that's a good one.
Like, I love that line, like, especially when you hear it for the second time in T2, um, at the asylum or whatever, and, yeah, I love that we hear it here from Reese.
The one I wrote down, well, it's not a line at first and then it is, but it's like, so one of the guys, I think it's in the cop station, one of them
Mhm.
says something to Arnold, and then it shows like on his screen, possible responses, it says.
Yes.
And one of them is, fuck you, asshole. Yeah,
Yes.
fuck you, asshole.
Yep,
So that was my, outside of I'll be back, that was the other one that stood out to me.
yep. When we were talking about scenes that, I wrote down a couple lines from, the scene where Reese and Sarah are in the police car and they're getting away for the first time, and he's basically trying to lay out what is happening and why he's here and who she is in all of this. And the line I love is, "You've been targeted for termination," which I think is just awesome for this movie. And then how he's explaining basically the whole point of this Terminator. I kind of summarized here, but I love how he says, "It can't be bargained with. It will not stop ever until you are dead." Like, he just lays it out so clearly for her. And of course, she's in shock. Like, she's not believing anything that
Yeah,
he's
why would she
saying
believe
at
it
this
either?
point. Right. But I mean, I just love how he lays it out so plainly. This thing is a machine. It can't be bargained with. It can't be um, reasoned with, and it will not stop ever until you are dead. And that's cool as hell.
So the only other one I wrote down, and it's more cheesy, but I mean, it obviously it fits, but it's at the end when he finally kills him and he goes, "You're terminated, fucker."
Yes, when she says that, it's the cheesiest damn thing in the world, but you have to say it.
I mean, yeah, it fits.
Yeah, I have that one written down as the last one I've got. So yeah. The other thing that I kind of thought way at the end, after kind of in the epilogue, she's in the Jeep, she's driving, and she stops at the gas station, and that um young kid takes her picture and says, he needs $5, otherwise his dad will beat him. I honestly thought his line here should have been, "Can I have your watch when you are dead?"
Well, you can't go wrong with that line. Can I have your watch when you are dead? What do you say?
Yeah. So that's I would have loved to seen that in there, but of course, what Three Amigos was 2 years later.
Yeah.
Yep. So
All
that
right.
would have been
Before
a
we
good
do
one.
our draft, the other thing that I
Yeah.
was taking some notes on as I watched this, and I forgot to mention it to Gif ahead of time, but I think he's got some things that he'll think of.
Yep.
Is there were some, it's a product of its time, and so we
Yeah.
talked about the effects and everything, but there's a lot of really good '80s stuff in
Yeah.
this movie. And so I was just writing some down, and I wonder what you remember. One that I loved is when they're changing in the changing room, and you can only see the shoes, and it's the big Nike high tops with the
Yes.
Velcro strap that you
Velcro
strap
strap.
across the top. I
Hmm.
mean, you can't get any better than that. That is like completely a product of its time.
Yes, I always loved that. Like, when his foot drops down and you see the Nike swoosh, sweet, sweet kicks for Kyle there. So I love that. The other one I wrote down when I was watching it is Ginger's sweet Walkman. She's even got the strap that
Oh,
goes over
yep.
the shoulder.
Oh, I have that
Um,
written down. Walkman over shoulder.
yes, and I mean she's even listening to it while Matt's pleasuring her. He even turns up the music while they're doing it. And she's just got her headphones in. So the Walkman was definitely a big one that I loved.
The music sounds like '80s video games, but it's in a
Mhm.
good way. It's more polished than some of your video game music, but also you did the sound there. It sounds the synthesizer sounds so much like
Yes.
Stranger Things. Like Stranger Things, of course, everybody loves the opening and how they nailed that, the
Mhm.
sound and everything. That sound is almost identical to what you have as kind of your main beat going on here in
Yep.
the background, which I love.
Well, and like the the music that you have, like when you've got in the beginning where we see Reese come in naked, and then the cops start chasing him like through the department store, like that synthesizer
Yeah.
music. There's no lyrics in there; it's just this synthesizer sound that is completely right there in the 80s.
And speaking of music, the dancing in the club is very 80s dancing
Yes.
with the whole,
Well, and the
like the
clothes.
well, of
Look at
course, the
look
clothes
at the
too.
clothes in there. I mean, oh, they're just awesome. Bright colors, shoulder pads. There's a guy had a jacket on, big old shoulder pads on it, and yeah.
I believe it was in Sarah and her roommate's apartment, but there is an answering machine, and it is a
Mhm.
massive answering machine. It is the
Mhm.
size of like a VCR.
Well, and I love her message says, "Fooled you. You're talking to a machine."
Yeah.
Like I love that is on the answer machine. Yep.
Sarah's scooter motorcycle. I mean, it's a Honda Elite CH125. And just
Ooh.
those kind of scooter motorcycles, they were so much more common back then. Like,
Yep.
my brother had a Kawasaki and people had those kind of things. And it just looked you don't see that in the movies anymore.
No. Well, and you talked about the answer machine. How about trying to find a payphone?
Yeah.
And one of the goofs is that when she goes to Tech Noir and she calls the cops, she puts money in and dials 911. You don't have to put money in
Ah.
to dial 911. But the whole payphone thing, and like you talked about, like he's in her apartment, he had just killed Ginger. Talk about bad timing. You call your house right after all the killing. Like if you would have called like a couple seconds before while he's pumping lead into Ginger, like he might have not heard you calling. So at that moment, he knows, oh, I didn't kill the right person. She's still out there. And by the way, I happen to know exactly where she's at. So that was some pretty rough timing.
The only other one I wrote down was the Lieutenant Traxler uses the phrase "Yo mama."
Yo mama. Yes.
So
Yeah, that was there's just I mean, obviously, we're smack dab in the middle of the 80s here, so you're gonna have a lot of things, to pull from for sure. But one of the things that, I thought was a little spooky is that this movie starts in which year?
2029.
Yeah. Now, obviously, the nuclear war happened well before that, but, I mean, we're only 3 years away from, you know, that hellscape. So, a couple
We might
other
get there
things,
too.
right? A couple other things for the 80s, like you mentioned Bill Paxton and his buddies at the beginning. I mean, that
Oh,
spiky
the hair,
punk hair.
the
I mean,
punk
that,
look.
yep, that was all 80s for sure.
All right. Well, our draft tonight is to talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And so we're going to draft our favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger things, whether it's movies or anything else you might have found, mostly
Mm-hmm.
movies, I'm sure. But I do have kind of a wild card pick in here.
Yep, I do too.
So Gifford is going to go first, and I'll be second.
All right, I've said it time and time again. I love this movie, but the sequel is better. This was the one that launched him, but T2, man. I mean, it's such a massive, massive movie. Love it to no end.
I knew you'd pick that. All right. And my number one, that would have probably been like the second one, but I hadn't seen it, till recently. But my number one is the first Arnold movie I really watched, and kind of so I didn't get into action movies till Die Hard.
Mm-hmm.
So when 1990 came along, Total Recall came out, and
Yes.
I was obsessed with that movie. I thought it was so cool, and I loved him.
Yep.
And of course, you've got the hot Sharon Stone in there, even hotter than Basic Instinct. Really, she never looked better.
And 3 boobs.
You got the 3 boobs,
Mm-hmm.
iconic. So for me, I mean, I would have probably picked it first anyway, but Total Recall is my Arnold Schwarzenegger movie and the one that I got into first.
Right.
And
Well,
it's awesome.
and the guys on 80s, 90s Recall, they always talk about 80s boobs, right?
Yeah.
Constantly. Well, how do you up 80s boobs? You
Add a
add
third.
another one. You add a third. So they definitely did that.
Should have added that in their list a couple weeks ago of types of boobs.
Right.
Superfluous boob.
Superfluous boob. That is excellent. All right. So I picked T2. I love T2. Think it's great. But I picked it because I thought, well, maybe Brad would take T2 first. But I'm going to take my absolute favorite Arnold movie. We talked about it in the draft for 80s and 90s, and that is Predator.
Yeah, you
I
love that movie.
love this movie so very much. I just rewatched Badlands that just came out on Hulu not that long ago. Went to that in the theater. I don't go to the movies at the theater very often. That one I did. Yeah, I love Predator. I love him in it. Great action movie from the 80s.
All right, well, I'm going to go with the Terminator with my next pick
Okay.
because, I mean, of all the movies he did, this is probably the next best one, if not even better, and I love it. Took me a while to get there, but
Mm-hmm.
that's my next one.
Hey, better late than never. That's what I always say. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get my top 3 movies. I'm very excited about this. This one comes from 1994, and it is True Lies.
Oh, yeah.
I
See,
think, I mean, it's one of the few things that I've ever seen Tom Arnold in that I shouldn't say that because he was great in his little cameo in Austin Powers too. But I thought Tom Arnold was great in it. Jamie Lee Curtis, come on now. Awesome. Great comedy in it along with awesome action. So, very happy to get True Lies with my third pick here.
all right, my next one then is 1990 you had Total Recall, and then shortly after you had Arnold in a whole different role, and he's starting to expand. And so one of the other first Arnold movies I really watched was Kindergarten Cop. And I don't, I
Mhm.
haven't seen it in forever. It may not be that good. I don't really remember, but I do know I enjoyed it at the time. And you can have I'll Be Back. I'll take It's Not a Tumor.
It's not a Tuma. So we've talked already tonight about pop culture holes. I've never seen
Well,
it.
I don't know if that's that much of a hole, but
No, but I mean, it's one of those
it's
fun
surprising you haven't
Arnold
seen it.
movies. Yeah. All right. Well, I know that this one is probably going to be crapped on quite a bit, but I really did enjoy this movie. You got Danny DeVito as the twin to Arnold Schwarzenegger. You've got a really massively hot Kelly Preston in it, which doesn't hurt anything. So Twins to me was, again, like you said with Kindergarten Cop, completely different film role here. And, a good comedy. And I really, really did like that movie. Watched it quite a bit. That was on the HBO tapes, by the way.
Yeah. And actually, looking back, that's probably like the first real Arnold movie I saw was Twins, because I would have seen that
Mhm.
like right when it came out on video. And I don't love it. I don't remember liking it very much, thinking it was kind of a letdown. But again, I haven't seen it since probably 1989.
Sure.
So I would have drafted it very soon if I had to, because I don't have a lot of our options. But
Sure.
and speaking of not having a lot of options, I'm going to pick a movie that I kind of actively hate, but I
Oh,
hope I'll get a vote from Dave from Recall
okay.
for this. But also, it's set in Minnesota, and I love Christmas movies. Um, I watched Jingle All the Way for the first time about a year ago because Dave and Rob did it, and
Hmm.
he kind of told me you got to watch it, and I'm like, yeah, I should at least watch it. It was horrible. It's so horrible. But it's a Christmas movie. It's in Minnesota. You got sights. You got Phil Hartman. Um,
Yep.
so considering I don't have a lot of options because I don't have a lot of Arnold history, I'll go
Hmm.
for it, and maybe
Hey,
it'll
why
get me a
not?
vote.
Well, and that's another one that I've never seen.
Well, don't
So
bother.
based on what you've said, I'm not going to. So, all right, the last one I'm going to take. I think I recorded. So I saw it edited. I think like on ABC or something late night. But this one also has my first celebrity crush in Alyssa Milano. This is Commando. Uh, Ray Don Chong was in it as well. But he is just literally out there kicking some major league ass. You don't kidnap Arnold's daughter. I mean, come on. You don't kill John Wick's dog, and you don't kidnapped
So,
Arnold's daughter.
does he kill people in this movie? I'm assuming.
Oh my God, does
Yep.
he ever?
But this is before Terminator, isn't it?
No, this is 85, the year after.
Oh, okay. Because you had said he didn't want to be like a bad guy in the Terminator,
But
which I'm
he's
like,
the good guy. He's justified
okay.
in his murder spree.
Okay, I see. Yeah, he's a killer, but he is the good guy. Okay.
Yep.
There
Yeah,
is a difference.
in all of his movies, except for maybe Terminator, he's justified in all the killing that he does. So,
All right, I'm going to take my wild card pick here. So, just in the last couple of years, and I don't usually care for these commercials. I think they're on all the
yes.
time, but Arnold in the State Farm commercials,
Yes, thank
I,
you.
I think they're so funny, and I love how he pokes fun at himself like
Yep.
a good neighbor, and he can't
Choppa.
say it, and he keeps
Get
doing
me
it
out of
wrong,
this
and
choppa.
he's making fun of himself, and
Yep.
it's very endearing, and
Mhm.
I love it, so I'm going to pick it.
That was my wild card as well.
Oh, we have
I
the
think
same one.
it's yes.
I figured you wouldn't have thought of that, or would
Oh, for sure. Yes, I think it's so great. Yeah,
Well,
at the end where he goes, "Get me out of this choppa," I just think that's just the best because, of course,
a
that's
very
the
a
big
very
line from
justified pick, I guess,
Terminator.
and I just love how they
Yeah,
keep he says it over, and he can't understand that he's saying it wrong.
right.
It's like a good neighbor.
Neighbor. Yeah, it's awesome. So
All
good
right,
pick
well,
on that one.
so we're kind of dried out here, but we're going to pick 5 more.
We are. All right. So, this one I actually rewatched not that long ago because there is a reboot that has come out of this movie.
Oh, I was going to pick this.
Oh, then I will pick something else.
Oh,
Well, because you can, you might know this one.
well, I
So
could pick anything.
I'm gonna go with Conan the Barbarian then because that was one that I saw early on. This one I saw at Uncle Jerry's house. Yeah, and this was my introduction to Arnold, along with a lot of other people too. This is his first big successful movie that came out. So,
All right. Well, I
um,
haven't seen the movie that I'm going to pick, which I'm pretty sure is the one you were just talking about. But
yep,
I've always been intrigued. And when they had the reboot, I'm like, yeah, it sounds cool. And Richard Dawson is in it, right? And
yes,
so I've never seen The Running Man, but if I'm going to watch a Arnold movie that I haven't seen from the 80s, that's going to be the first one on my list. It just seems like a movie I would like, and that would be a little different. So
hmm
because I know I want to watch it, that's my pick for this one here.
it is absolutely nuts. It's crazy. You got Jim Brown is in it. Jesse
Oh,
Ventura is in it. Um, it's Gonzo, but it's fun. Like it's still, and again, he's a good guy who was wrongly imprisoned, and he goes along and kills a bunch of people, and it's
all
pretty
right.
awesome. And Richard Dawson is a lot of fun in it. All right. Okay, so yeah, I was kind of getting to the end of my list here, but I do remember watching this movie at least once, and that is Red Heat. He's a cop from the Soviet Union, comes over and has to work with Jim Belushi.
I wrote that. Yeah,
Uh,
Jim Belushi of all people.
yeah, yep. So that one, and then of course Peter Boyle's in it too. So that's
All
not all
right.
bad.
So again, I haven't seen any of these or don't, care for them, but I got some decent. Actually, there's one I have seen. Okay, I'm going to
hmm
pick the one no, I already picked a movie I hate. Um, I'll go with Last Action Hero because I think, some
Okay,
people actually like that movie. I haven't seen it.
I
But
don't think I've seen it either.
it's probably better than some of the other ones that are on here just based on what I've heard.
Well, yeah, and it was a big freaking movie. I just never got around to watching it. All right. So for our last one, again, I think this movie is really cool. He has just a cameo in it. But the beginning of this movie is one of the coolest, fun starts to a movie, and that is the rundown with The Rock. And he is supposed to go in. He's kind of like a um, muscle collections guy, and he's going in to try to go on this, get this really hard, you know, money or whatever. And Arnold is coming out of the club that he's going into, basically saying, "Good luck." Like he couldn't get it done. You got
Well,
to go do it. So
and is he not in the Expendables movies?
I've never watched him.
Okay, but he's in them then.
Oh yeah, for
Okay, well,
sure
that's
he
what I
is.
just thought of that now because I was surprised maybe you hadn't brought it up or hadn't seen at least one of those.
Yep. No, I have not watched 1, 2, or 3. But
The
I
other
mean,
ones
a
I
lot of
had,
great action guys in there.
the other ones I had here. Speaking of crazy in a comedy, he was pregnant in Junior.
Never saw that one.
Yeah, me neither. And then I had the movie I had Batman and Robin. I mean, I almost put it on there because I've seen it, but
So bad. That
I
was
mean,
what I've seen.
Well, I
But
know,
oh
but it
my
is. It's
god,
so bad.
every line he has is just brutal.
I would rather watch Jingle All the Way probably than that.
Hmm.
And the only other one I wrote down, I've seen this movie and enjoyed it a lot in the mid '90s. The movie Dave, where Kevin Kline is the president.
Yeah,
According to
what was he
IMDb,
in?
Arnold Schwarzenegger's in it, but I don't remember him being in it or anything, so I just put it down my list. But of these movies, that would be the one I like the best. The next one.
Well, and so he plays himself,
That's
but
what
I
it
don't
said. Yeah,
remember him
I
in
haven't
that
seen it
movie.
since what
Yeah, I haven't seen it
1994 or
forever
whatever.
either.
So
The other one that I've seen, I think I watched it once, and that was, oh no, I was going to say Sixth Day, but I think I've actually seen that one too. No, it was with, oh, here, The Eraser, Eraser from '96. Vanessa Williams was in that one.
yeah,
I do
I
remember
remember that
watching
movie.
that one, and James Caan. So yeah, so again, like for me, he's got some absolute bangers on his list, and he is huge.
Well, and like
Um,
all timers,
yep, yeah, like
but then a lot of others, and just
yeah,
stuff.
maybe seen him once and then forgot him. But yeah, Total Recall. That is, I don't know how many times I've seen Total Recall. Actually, watched the remake with
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell, and that was a disappointment, to be sure. But yeah, Terminator, T2, Twins, True Lies, Running Man. Again, like I say, it's bonkers, but it's fun. So
All right.
a
Well,
lot of good stuff from Arnold.
someday I'm going to get to that. All right. So that's our first 1984 proper episode. Next week, we're going to
Mhm.
go back into the music realm. So there's so much great music in the 80s and in 1984. But
Yes,
we're gonna do some long distance dedications.
we are.
We're gonna relive some Casey Kasem top
Casey
40.
Kasem style.
We all had our long distance dedications, and we're gonna run through some of the Hot 100 with that as our guide.
Yeah. Yep,
So
that is true.
so get out your writing skills, Giff, because that's
It's
what we're
going to be
doing.
interesting. Yeah, it'll be fun. Well, yeah, and again, this movie Terminator, I still love it. I think it holds up great. So, hey Brad,
Yeah,
collectively, which band's favorite scene in any movie is from Total Recall with three boobs?
collectively. What do you?
They all love it. They all love it as a band.
Okay, right. As a band. Well, Preacher Row, they're always lockstep on everything.
They are.
Nobody ever has their own opinion on anything, so it's
No.
Preacher Row.
Well, they do, but this they all agree on. They can actually agree that the three boobs scene is way up there.
Okay.
Their favorite. So, well, thank
All
you
right.
for listening, everybody.
See you next week.
Bye.